Welcome to another edition of Buy Low and Sell High here on The Fantasy Football Show. If you're new, hit the subscribe button and punch that like button on your way in the door. You're watching this during a live premiere. We do this a lot. This is a live premiering video, and I'm in the chat talking with all of you right now. And we're breaking down all these names on screen. Who do we buy low heading into week number 8? Who do we sell high? What trades can help you win your league right now? And as always, just because you're willing to trade a player, that does not mean we don't believe in the player. It's called buying low and selling high, which oftentimes involves selling a guy that you do believe in that's popping off in order to get two other players you also believe in that are playing pretty badly, and you can take advantage of the owner that's panicking. Buying low and selling high is an art form. We're breaking it all down. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Smitty!
Take a lap. Okay, before we break down every name you see on screen right here, I want to first remind you that there are players that have had their bye week. And in general, every one of these players on screen is a good buy low because Kamara's had his bye. Josh Allen has had his bye. Diggs, Elliott, Lamb, Cook, and on this side of the screen, Jefferson, Najee, Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley. Now, there are other names like James Robinson. I'm not saying just because I don't list him here that I don't like buying low on James Robinson at the right price. My point is that every player that's already had a bye, you have a strategic advantage by investing in one of these players if you're selling guys that haven't had their bye. So Alvin Kamara, you get another 20 or 30 points if you trade for him right now. Josh Allen, same thing. Diggs, 20, 25 points. Elliott, 25, 30 points. CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts doing Kyle Pitts things without the bye week in the way. And maybe Najee Harris doesn't hit that bye week that most rookies hit when they start out early and they hit, that college length of a season, like 9-10 games, and they start slowing down. Maybe Najee Harris is well rested, and it's a great time to go buy low. Not low, really, but like at a price tag that you're going to get that owner to regret trading him at. Justin Jefferson, going to do Justin Jefferson things without a bye week standing in the way. So again, in general, I want to throw all the bye week guys up, the big name heavy hitters that have had their bye week, because in general, these are good buy low candidates heading into the remaining weeks. So take full advantage of that. And some of those guys will overlap into this segment, but I wanted to throw them all out there at one time. And for week 8, the bye weeks are the Ravens and the Raiders. All right, let's reorganize this and put buy low and sell high on the screen. Okay, so buy lows will go here, sell highs will go here, and people that live in the middle are going to be listed in both categories because unlike most analysts, I will tell you that players are both buy lows and sell highs a lot of the time. They just are. A guy like Barkley, as an example, can be a buy low and a sell high. Depends on what angle you're coming from. Let's kick things off with my favorite buy low right now in fantasy football. He was on my list last week. He had a bad week. Does that deter me away? No, it does not. And with the recent news that Davante Adams, the man, the myth, the legend, is potentially on IR.
On the C list.
We might be looking at an Aaron Rodgers feeding Aaron Jones the football constantly through the air and on the ground. Remember when Davante Adams was out, not last year, but the year prior, and Aaron Jones was fed a monster amount of touchdowns? They revamped the offense to go run heavy. I'm not saying they do that long term, but for a game, if Adams does in fact miss Thursday night's battle against my Arizona Cardinals, my undefeated best team in football, Cardinals, if Adams doesn't have 2 negative tests before that game, like let's say it was close contact, then I think he could have 2 negative tests before Thursday's game. But if that's not the case, if the man does actually have the you-know-what, we don't say the word on here, because then you get all those like warnings everywhere. But if he does in fact have
the you-know-what,
then he's probably not playing week number 8 on Thursday night against my undefeated Cardinals. You're probably going to see a lot of Aaron Jones up the gut, being tossed to 2 or 3 TD game feels about right for Aaron Jones heading into week 8. I love me some Aaron Jones, and I'm buying low at every turn because people are fickle. They don't remember the 3 TD game he had this year a couple games ago where it was like, he's a top 5 overall player right now. Everybody agrees. Bad game. Boom. Now we don't like him. But Smitty, he had a bad game. You worry about it if you want. I'm buying low. Make sure you get A.J. Dillon because A.J. Dillon is a sleeping giant monster. And if you're a follower of mine, 80% of you probably already have A.J. Dillon and you better not have cut him. Cutting A.J. Dillon is...
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
Not a fan of cutting A.J. Dillon. Not a fan of cutting A.J. Dillon, Madison, Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard. You don't cut these guys. You don't cut them. Doesn't matter if the starter returns to the lineup. I'm tired of hearing, but Madison, is it time to let him go? No, you drafted him as a backup. Sleeping giant. Just because Dalvin Cook's back in the lineup right now, that doesn't mean he's going to be healthy all year. A.J. Dillon standalone is a sleeping giant win-a-league player. A.J. Dillon by himself is a standalone sleeping giant win-a-league player. Having Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon together is a guaranteed top 5 to 7 running back for me. Give me A.J. Dillon all day long, buying him low. And no, there's no opportunity to really sell him high. If you own him, hold him. People aren't going to pay what he commands. Trade Josh Jacobs any chance you get because the man is a walking injury. He never carried the rock as a full-time starter in college. In fact, his biggest college season was like 670-something yards. If I'm remembering correctly, I am on quite a bit of NyQuil, I might add. And he's been riddled with injuries his entire career. Yes, he squeaked out a couple 1,000-yard seasons, and kudos for that. Not being a full-time running back in college, that is quite an accomplishment. I am on quite a bit of NyQuil, I might add. But we're not handing out second-place trophies here on the Fantasy Football Show. If you're not first, you're last, and Jacobs, you're not first, pal. To the man that doesn't, in my opinion, have his head screwed on straight, proof from last year's little unraveling he had, where he told his fantasy owners to insert bird emoji, bird off. Basically told you to get lambed.
Get lambed.
And even went as far as to tell people where the stadium was, the address in case they wanted to meet him and talk face to face. Real mature Josh Jacobs. What's the deal with players these days wanting fans to meet him at the stadium? Now, I don't avoid him just because of that unraveling last year, but there's a lot of red flags with this guy. And if you're going to bank on somebody to keep it together during an injury-plagued string of games or to try and fight back and earn his job back, like, this is not the guy I'm banking on. I'm going to sell him high, get rid of him at a good cost, a touchdown-producing player cost, because he's producing touchdowns, trade into a safer vehicle, go across position and get yourself a DK Metcalf, even if you've got to give up a little bit more than Josh Jacobs. Go get a Herbert upgrade while people are doubting Herbert, and we'll talk about Herbie in a second, but go trade Josh Jacobs now.
But Smitty, NFL defenses have figured out Patrick Mahomes. He's figured out he sucks.
What are we doing with Patrick Mahomes right now? Am I right? Let's see here. Top quarterback leaders. Oh, look at there. Patrick Mahomes still number 2, or at least number 3, depending on the scoring format in just about every league I checked. Number 1, even if defenses did figure him out, I'm not saying they have. They haven't.
But what if they have?
They haven't.
But what if they have?
They haven't, Bob. But even if they did, who cares? He's the number 2 scoring fantasy football quarterback right now when he's struggling. Imagine what happens once things get back on track. And yes, I believe they will get back on track. This is Patrick Mahomes. There's still a whole lot of good there amongst all the bad. Go buy him low while people are having these idiotic reactions to Patrick Mahomes struggling a little bit. Oh my God, he's struggling. Oh my God, he's human. He's a human being. He's struggling. He's Patrick Mahomes. If you don't know that by now, I really don't think I can help you. Go trade for him from the people freaking out right now. Probably the easiest buy low I could recommend this week. And I don't know that you're going to steal him away, but you might be able to pull off a deal when he rebounds you won't even be able to get near. So try now, especially if you do a bigger trade like a 3 for 2, you're going to complicate the deal and get somebody to punch that yes when they probably shouldn't. And while we're on the topic, Tyreek Hill, same thing. Like, come on. I mean, here's his game log, and coming off this week, week 4 outing where he had 11 catches for 186 and 3 TDs. He was arguably in everybody's top 3 overall. Like, if you were drafting from week 5 on, you were drafting Tyreek Hill number 2, 3, or 4 overall. And yes, he's had a string of bad games where he's had 63 yards, no TDs in week number 5, 76 and 1 TD in week number 6. Not a bad game. And in week 7 this past weekend, 6 catches for 49 yards, no TDs. But look at the targets. 13, 12, and 9 over the last 3 games. During the streak of games where he's struggling, he's still getting 13, 12, and 9 targets. What does that tell you? That it's Mahomes. Tyreek Hill's fine. Once Mahomes can connect with him on those targets, and if you don't think they'll fix it, you're crazy. Once Mahomes gets on point, everything's back to normal. Tyreek Hill is a top 5 overall player guaranteed moving forward, in my opinion, as long as he stays healthy. And if you can get him anywhere outside double that kind of value, like number 11 or 12 overall, in equivalent type value, if you are to equate the value you can get him for in a trade to what would be draft value, if you can get him around 10, 11, 12,
steal.
Win a league,
steal.
Buy Mahomes, buy Hill, buy Aaron Jones at every single turn. Let's go. Darren Waller, I would sell him right now. I would buy him as well. I think we might have our first player that is going to live in both categories, because bottom line is you can sell him, and I would, and you can buy him, and I would. Now, in the selling scenario, I'm going and getting myself a wide receiver like Diggs or Jefferson or Hopkins, a guy I think could be top 5 for wide receivers going forward. Would I accept a lower end wide receiver and a running back? Sure. Would I take a Deontay Johnson and a Fournette? Potentially. I'd rather have a McLaurin and a Fournette, or a DK Metcalf and something else. A DK Metcalf and maybe a Damian Harris. There's a lot of ways to sell Waller and get that kind of return. Now, you can also go buying Waller at a very low price, like going and getting him for let me look at my rankings here on sleeperu.com. Sleeperu.com right here. Learn about it. That's where you can get your year-round fantasy football rankings, your bold predictions, and whatnot. I'd give up a Cordero Patterson. I'd give up a Damian Harris on the high. I'd trade a Keenan Allen, a Godwin. Not that I don't like the other side of that either. A Hollywood Brown, potentially. A Deebo Samuel. You could sell a Kyle Pitts for a Darren Waller. And I don't mind either side of that deal too, but I'm trying to give you examples. Or if people are hurting at quarterback, a lot of people are hurting at quarterback right now. You could easily get Waller for a Stafford if you end up having like an extra quarterback. You did an amazing job drafting 2. I'm a big advocate of that, because if injury strikes quarterbacks and people are freaking out and they need to win, you can trade, if you've got 2 Stafford type quarterbacks, one of them for a Waller who's struggling mid-season. I do think Waller will rebound. I do think he could be sporadic, but he's certainly worth buying low, and he's certainly worth selling high. He just lives in both areas. It depends on the angle. A good rule of thumb when a player lives in both categories is probably, if you drafted him at high value, you're probably in the sell high category. Get rid of him. You invested way too heavily. And in the case of Waller, you gave up a running back or a wide receiver, and you're chasing the other positions all year. You mix in the injuries, you mix in the busts. If you own Waller, I probably predict that you're struggling pretty bad at your running back or wide receiver or both positions, because of the injuries, because of the busts, and because you didn't take a running back or wide receiver when you took Waller. So most people selling high drafted him. Most people that didn't draft him, you're the people that should go get Waller on the cheap from the people that did draft him. Makes sense? Go get it. Javonte Williams, I know there are going to be a few of you out there going, look, can we give up on Javonte? I'm so tired and drained from just trying to root for this guy. He looked really good again on Sunday. The dude's a baller. Scored a touchdown, looked fantastic doing it. The problem is Melvin Gordon's looking pretty decent himself, and Melvin Gordon's continuing to get about 40-50% of the run. That could continue. We may need Javonte to continue to be efficient with the workload he gets. At some point, I feel like we're going to hear, okay, Melvin Gordon's questionable. We don't really know what it is. He becomes doubtful, and then he doesn't play one week, and we're like, out of nowhere, we're going to be like, oh my God, Javonte season's here. I don't know that it's going to be an injury during the game. It could be, but I think at some point, Gordon's got to sit out multiple games. Javonte comes in, they never look back. Top 10 running back appeal the moment he's the starter. I don't know when it could be. It could be week 12. We could be doing this for another 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 more weeks. We could be talking about Javonte Williams not getting a full course meal. For 4 more weeks, it could happen. Prepare yourself. Buckle in. for the ride the entire way. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm not getting off the ride. You're going to see him on this list every single week until the season comes to a complete close, and I'll be standing here either very embarrassed or I will look very, very, very tough. Javonte, go buy him now. Barkley, I'm selling high. I don't care if they announce, okay, he's going to come back next week. He'll be fine. I'm not buying Barkley. I'm probably not holding Barkley. I will only sell Barkley. I don't even own Barkley. Not at one of my 20 leagues because he's in a void for me. He's been in a void for me all year long. You had so many of these analysts out there, and there were so many of them that were like,
We're not drafting Barkley for week 1. We're not drafting Barkley for week 2. When you draft Barkley, you're drafting him for like weeks 5 on. You're drafting him for the championship run.
And I feel like anybody supporting him now at this point, unless you're buying really, really low, unless he's over here and you're getting him from a panicked owner, so I suppose he could live on both sides of the fence, but I don't believe in him enough to stay healthy to want to invest much at all. But let's say you could get him for a very low price, like Deontay Johnson, a guy you like, but you could do without. You've got somebody on your bench that could fill right in. I'm okay with that, but I'm selling Barkley. I don't have this feeling like everybody else where it's Barkley. You know, he'll come back. His name is Barkley. Because his name is Barkley, his pedigree is getting hurt. And I don't feel coming back from a really bad ankle injury a tiny bit early, if he does, is going to bode well with him trying to keep his knee healthy and on course for the rest and inflammation and getting all that toned down each and every week, because every time he plays on that joint, it's going to get swelling. It's not 100% healed. He's not even close to 100% healthy with the knee. That's why they say you're a full year away from being 100%. Every player after their first year playing on a torn ACL recovered knee, they always say, yeah, I wasn't healthy. You have to sit out like weeks of practice at a time. That's why he sits out every single week to get the inflammation down. The knee wasn't ready for the abuse it was going to take coming out full go. He barely tested the knee before week 1. And then you throw him to the grind, and now he's going out there like a car where the alignment is off because of the ankle. He's going to compensate. And now he's got to worry about that ACL, and it's going to lead to other injuries, a hamstring, a calf. The calf injury is the new ACL. Everybody's getting a calf.
You got a calf tear? I got a calf tear. Everybody's doing the calf tears.
The calf injury, everybody's got it now. When you compensate, you open the door to other injuries, and I don't see how either Barkley's going to sit out more time to get his ankle totally 100, which will give him a shot to come back and not cause other problems, or he's going to rush back a little bit early, compensate, and open the door to other injuries, whether it be to the knee, whether it be another ankle injury, an Achilles injury. I'm selling. What do I get? I'll go get a Mike Williams while he's doubted and get another running back that might be doubted pretty heavily. Give me Aaron Jones straight up. If I've got to give you more, if I've got to give you a Brandon Cooks, if I've got to give you a Cordero Patterson, as we call him on the show,
Cord Daily,
I'll give you that. I'll give you whatever I've got to give you to do that so-called even swap of Barkley and Aaron Jones to get out of the mess of Barkley. Give me Aaron Jones all day long. Herbert, I'm buying low. I can't believe some of the things that are coming out of people's mouths. Oh my God, Herbert, he was figured out.
What do we do with Herbert, Smitty?
You start him, you thank him, you realize he's already had his bye week, it's out of the way. His struggles are related and tied to Mike Williams' struggles and Ekeler's struggles and Keenan Allen's struggles. All of these guys, every single one of these Charger players are buy low candidates for week 8 on. They're bye week free. They all revolve around Herbert getting on track so the offense can score. That's why Mike Williams struggled and Keenan Allen struggled and Ekeler struggled. Herbert, I believe in. Herbert is the GOAT.
he will punch you in the throat.
Believe in him. Buy low now on all of these guys heading into week number 8. Christian McCaffrey, I could sell him or I could buy him. Now, he's inching closer to coming back. That makes him a better buy candidate than it does a better sell, because if you've waited this long, I don't know, why not wait longer? But if you can't wait, if you keep losing games and you miscalculated holding on to him or trading for him, you might need to make a move. You may be able to get into my boy Aaron Jones. You may be able to get into a Hopkins who people still love to doubt for some reason. You may get a Javonte Williams and a Mike Williams. I'm not saying that's a good trade for you, but like, it depends on what you got going on. How about a Waller and a Mike Williams? How about an Aaron Jones and a Mike Williams? How about an Aaron Jones and a Keenan Allen? You could probably get that for Christian McCaffrey. So if you've got to get out, there you go. And we'll put him in both categories because there is a strong argument for trading him away in those scenarios, but there's also a good argument for trading for him. Let's say you have 5 wins. Let's say you have 4 wins and you feel really good about your chances. Maybe you go get this guy using a combination of Fournette, who maybe you don't even need. You were smart enough to cultivate Fournette on your bench, and now you can trade Fournette away. Maybe you don't like Mixon anymore, who we need to put on the sell list. What was I thinking leaving Mixon off this? I'll put Mixon right here. We'll do him next. Maybe you trade Mixon and something for Christian McCaffrey. Maybe you trade only Mike Evans, who just balled out, for just Christian McCaffrey. Try and do a 1-for-1 if you can. Try and sell a guy doing very well that doesn't feel top 5 or 7 at the position overall for you. Like Evans might be playing that way, but maybe you don't rank him there. Try and do a buy low, a true buy low for Christian McCaffrey, so that if it doesn't work out, you lose a player, but you don't lose your league. You still have a shot to win. But if he lands, you win your league. Mixon, I've said it from the beginning. I didn't draft this guy in one of my 20 leagues for a reason. I feel like he took too much abuse leading up to this point. And yes, the offense is finally getting going. Yes, they finally can open up the run due to opening up the pass. They're stretching the field with Jamar Chase. He's a beast. I love Jamar Chase. Maybe the number 1 wide receiver in Dynasty. We'll talk about that this week. I got my top 15 Dynasty wide receiver video coming up next. But Mixon may have been abused for far too long. And now we're seeing the remnants. We're seeing the guy broken down a little. The guy, he finally gets his time to shine. Mom's spaghetti. His palms are sweaty. He goes out there. He's got his one shot. Doesn't want to miss his chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a career, but maybe he doesn't have it left in the tank. I'm selling him high. I'm going across position because I feel like people are scared of him. So no one's going to want to acquire him at running back equivalent value. You go across position. You get yourself a Jefferson or a Hopkins or a Diggs, maybe a Metcalf, who we're going to talk about in a minute. Get crazy. And like I said, Christian McCaffrey. DK, you know my thoughts on DK. We're buying DK and we're doing it live. DK Metcalf, he's going to get Russell Wilson back eventually. He knows how to go up and catch a football. He's going to catch the football from whoever's tossing it up to him if they make any changes under center. But once Wilson's back, he's going to be on fire. I think he can survive until Wilson gets back too. And, you're buying him low. Keep in mind, I'm recording this like during the game and there's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. And DK now has 2 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. He only had the 1 touchdown catch. And I recorded this thinking, okay, he's got the 1 catch. Maybe he catches another pass. But now that people, I think you're going to see him inching toward that 100-yard mark. You may not find him as cheap as you'd like. And you still can go looking, though, because 2 catches, people freak out about that kind of thing. So go ahead and poke around. But maybe he isn't a good buy low. He's potentially. Just go check around. See if that 2-catch concern is out there. Henderson, I don't sell Henderson unless you're selling him really high. I would say that he's playing really great. He's playing out of his mind. And if you can trade into an Aaron Jones from people freaking out, if you can trade into a Waller and you need a wide receiver and you can get Mike Williams and Waller, you can do something crazy using Darrell Henderson. Do it now. He's got extremely high value. People love the guy. I love the guy. He was on my bold predictions a couple years ago. I loved him coming out of college, and McVay ruined him until now. But I still don't know that I trust McVay fully. And if he gets banged up at all, who knows what McVay does moving forward. I'm not saying sell low. Hold him. Ride the wave if you can. But if you can sell really, really, really high, I would take the opportunity to upgrade him into an Aaron Jones, to go get a Mahomes somehow if you had running back depth and you could be okay doing a trade like that. Ridley, I've talked about Ridley a lot. Look, there's some concern, a little bit, but it's baked in. Like our famous follower, the Bruce here on the Fantasy Football Show, his mother is gracing us with her presence, and she's got a little message for you, for any of you lamb doubters out there.
Getting lammed.
But also, the Bruce's mother, a follower of the show. This is a real follower of mine. She's very famous for
Baked in, boys.
and every bit of Calvin Ridley's value is
Baked in, boys.
it's baked in. He's bye free. He's already had his bye week. He got a touchdown last week. He's got a ton of targets. They just are uncatchable football sometimes. Not entirely his fault. It is concerning, but Kyle Pitts is doing good. We know that Ryan is delivering the football at some capacity. I'm buying Ridley low. You can get him well outside of value that you paid on draft day. He doesn't even come close to probably third round value. That is what we call
Baked in, boys.
And if you trade for Ridley dirt cheap, you're going to do what to the other owner?
Getting lammed.
Thank you for joining me, and please get on over to Smitty1.com. Click on the Underdog Fantasy banner and play Best Ball Week number 8. You can play a Week 8 only fantasy football best ball contest. You don't have to worry about lineups. It's for Week 8. Take your knowledge of everything you've gained and gathered from weeks 1 through 7 and use that knowledge to redraft for Week 8 only and dominate. There's so many prizes. It's so fun. Just go to Smitty1.com right there and click on the Underdog banner. It'll take you right to where you need to be using my promo code. You have to go to Smitty1.com and click on the banner. If you don't, please use the code Smitty when you make your first deposit and you sign up. But just go to the link, Smitty1.com, and it'll link you right there by clicking on the Underdog banner. And same thing with Prize Picks. If you go to Smitty1.com, you can do these awesome over-under contests with Prize Picks where you're like, how many yards? Like in tonight's game, over-under on Alvin Kamara. And if you want my opinion, I think the over-unders are where it's at. In my opinion, it is, I think, sometimes easier than anything else to predict these over-unders. And I think you should give it a try on Week 8 for Sunday. Go to Smitty1.com and click on the Prize Pick banner. Make sure you enter promo code Smitty if you go there without going through my link, but just go to Smitty1.com, click on the Prize Pick, and play over-under. It's so fun to have more skin in the game while you're watching football. And let's say your week goes bad, or you got a bunch of bye week guys, or your seasons are getting knocked out with injury. You can have more skin in the game by going to Smitty1.com and clicking Prize Picks. That is it for today. Go to HeySmitty.com if you want to get my text advice, and I will see you tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern on my Thursday show. We got a lot in store for you for Tuesday, and I've got my Dynasty wide receiver video coming soon where I rank my top 15 Dynasty wide receivers going forward. So get ready for that. Have a good Week 8, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern here on the channel. Also, don't forget my Spotify show, my video show on Spotify. I've got exclusive video content that is Spotify only on that channel. So in order to watch the Spotify only content, you have to go to Spotify video. All you gotta do is go to Spotify, go to my channel, link is in the description. Normally you just listen to me, you click on a podcast and it would play. Now you got the option of video and audio. Smitty1.com, go check it out. I will see you later tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't be late
or take a lap. This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Smitty!